Salvete omnes. This is Abbey Latin Liber Primus, chapter 14. This is exercise D of chapter 14, parsing English to Latin. Sententia prima. The sons of the consul remained in the fields with the men. So we start with our verb, remained. Who remained? Not the consul, but the sons remained in the fields. So the sons are the subject of our sentence. Remember, the subject is what does the action of the verb. If the verb is remained, who or what remained? The sons. So as the subject, we want that to be the nominative case in Latin. Sons with an S is plural. So we take the Latin word for son. You need to know the whole dictionary entry. Filius e masculine, so you can decline it. And we want the nominative plural masculine. Filius e, because of the I of the genitive singular, pronounced e. This is a second declension masculine noun. Filius, filii, filio, filium, filio. Filii, filiorum, filiis, filios, filiis. So the nominative plural masculine, the subject form will be filii with a double I. The sons of the consul possessing the sons. So consul, consulis, masculine. Possession is shown by the genitive case. So we want the genitive of consul, consulis. It's right there. The third declension masculine, not an I stem, consulis. So we say filii consulis, or you can say consulis filii. So the subject, the sons, remained in the fields with the men. So the verb needs to reflect the subject. Sons is plural, so remained needs to be plural. They are the ones who remain, so it's third person plural. So the ending will be an unt. They remained. The time, the tense, is perfect tense. And it's active voice and indicative mood of maneo. You can see the MA right here in remained. Maneo, manere, mansi, mansus. Second conjugation verb, you take the RE off of the second principal part to get the present stem. You take the I off of the third principal part to get the perfect stem, mons. And that's what we want because it's perfect tense. Mons, and then add perfect endings. E isti it. Imus istis erunt is the third person plural. Monserunt. Filii consulis monserunt. Where did they remain? In the fields. In plus the accusative would show motion towards, into or onto, but in plus the ablative shows location, in or on. And we are in the fields, located in them. We're not going into the fields or onto them. We're going in plus the ablative of location of ager, agri, masculine. So we want the ablative, plural, of ager, agri, a second declension masculine. So ager, agri, agro, agrum, agro, agri, agrorum, agris, agros, agris. We want agris, the ablative plural, in agris. With the men. The sons were with the men. So we want the preposition with, and that's cum in Latin, and it takes always and only the ablative case. Ablative of accompaniment, to show in the company of, with whom, or ablative of manner, in the manner of, like how an action is done, almost adverbial. We are not remaining in the fields in the manner of men, but we are remaining in the fields in the company of these men. So we want the noun vir, viri, masculine, to go after the preposition cum, which takes the ablative. So when you decline vir, viri, masculine, it's a second declension masculine. You can tell by the I of the genitive singular, like ager, agri. Vir, viri, viro, virum, viro. Viri, virorum, viris, viros, viris. Cum viris. All together into a Latin sentence, we have something like consulis filii cum viris in agris monserunt. Does this, our answer, equal this, our English? Well, we have consulis in the genitive, the consuls of the consul, the sons, in the nominative plural masculine, so they do the verb. The sons of the consul's sons, they stayed, they waited, they remained. Cum viris, with the men, cum plus the ablative, with, accompaniment, and in plus the ablative, location, in the fields. Yep, checks out. Sententia secunda. The women are sitting on the bridge across the river. So our verb is are sitting. Who are sitting? The women are sitting. Subject, the women. So nominative, subject, plural feminine, of feminae, feminine. So it's a first declension feminine noun. I, with the macron. I, autumn, is, us, is, to get us feminae. Feminae is the subject. They are sitting. The verb to sit is sedeo, sedere, sedi, sessus. They are sitting. Third person plural. Present tense, because it's happening right now. Active voice, indicative mood. So you take the second principal part, sedere, second conjugation verb, and you chop off the re to get sede, the present stem. Add the unt, the nt, third person plural ending, ost, mus, tis, unt, the personal endings for the present. So feminae sedent, feminae sedent, or we could say sedent feminae. They're sitting. Who? The feminae. Oh, the women. Where are they sitting? In plus the accusative would show motion towards, into, or onto, but in plus the ablative shows location, in or on. So in plus the ablative, location. We want the ablative of pons, pontus, masculine, which means bridge. Pons, pontus, it's a third declension masculine, and it is an I stem, where the stem ends in nt. Its declension is pons, pontus, ponti, pontem, ponte, with the letter E. Pontes, pontium, there's the change in the genitive plural, pontium, pontibus, pontes, pontibus. We want the ablative, and it's only one bridge. In ponte, in ponte. And this is across the river. Across is trans, which takes the accusative. It's pretty accusative motion towards E. So we want the accusative of river. Flumen, fluminous, neuter. It's a third declension neuter, not an I stem. Trans and then flumen, transflumen. We could say something like feminae in ponte transflumen sedent. Optime, tertia. The brave messenger warned the citizens about the dangers. Good for him. So the verb is warned. Who warned? The brave messenger warned. So messenger is our subject in the nominative case. Brave is an adjective describing the noun messenger, which is the subject. Whatever case, number, gender the noun messenger is, brave must be the same case, number, and gender. The Latin word for brave is fortis, forte, when you look it up in the dictionary. You can tell by its endings that it is a third declension adjective. Fortis and forte. There's no a and for the feminine and for the neuter. Fortis, forte, third declension adjective. It's a two termination where fortis is the masculine feminine form, and then forte with the letter E, that's the neuter form. So leave that alone for now. We have to go to the noun messenger. Case, number, gender of nuntius, E, masculine, a messenger. Well, it's going to be nominative, singular, masculine. Nuntius, he's the subject. That means the adjective fortis must agree with him, be a nominative, singular, masculine as well. And that's just fortis. Adjectives of quality usually follow their nouns in Latin, so we'll say nuntius fortis, a brave messenger. He warned. Warned is moneo, monere, monui, monitus, to warn, advise, to admonish, to warn or inform. So this verb, it's a second conjugation. You can tell by the eo, ere, and it's third person singular. He did it. He warned. Perfect tense, because he, snap of the fingers, did it. It done. Perfect. Completed. To form the perfect tense, we go to the third principal part and chop off the letter I. Monui becomes monu as the stem, and then add the personal endings. I isti it, imus istis erunt. It, the third person singular, we want that one because he, third person singular, the messenger, did it. Monu it. Nuntius fortis monuit. Whom did he warn? This verb is a transitive verb and takes an accusative direct object. So we want the accusative of kiwis, common, which can be masculine or feminine. So kiwis, it is an I stem because its nominative ends in is or es. It ends in is, and it's perisyllabic with its genitive. Both have two syllables, kiwis and kiwis. All that means is that its genitive plural will have an ium, kiwium. Otherwise, its declension is unchanged from non-I stem, third declension, masculine or feminine nouns. We want the accusative, right? Because the direct object of the verb warned. So, kiwis, kiwi, kiwem, kiwe, kiwes, kiwium, kiwibus, kiwes. There it is, kiwibus. We want kiwes, the accusative. So, Nuntius fortis cives monuit, and he warned them about the dangers. About. The preposition de means down from, like defenestrate. You get thrown down from a window. De can also mean about or concerning, as it is here. So it takes the ablative. So dangers is going to be in the ablative. We want the Latin word for danger, periculum, e, neuter. You can tell by the genitive, the letter I, pronounced E, periculi, that it's a second declension neuter. So we want the ablative plural. Periculum, periculi, periculo, periculum, periculo. Pericula, periculorum, periculis, pericula, periculis, de periculis. So altogether, the sentence could be something like, Nuntius fortis, cives de periculis monuit. Optime. Quarta. The small boys were afraid of everything. Oh, that's not good. Okay, the verb is were afraid. Who's afraid? Who's doing the fearing? That's the subject. The small boys. Boys being the noun, small being an adjective describing the boys. So, small, adjective, parvus a That is a first and second declension adjective. Us a so first declension feminine for the a and second declension masculine for the us, and has the second declension neuter forms. We wanted to agree with boys. So boys, puer, pueri, masculine. Well, that's masculine, so we want small parvus to be masculine as well. Also, well, both must be nominative, and both must be plural. Nominative plural masculine, nominative plural masculine, the subject of the verb were afraid. So boys, puer, pueri, a second declension masculine. Puer, pueri, puero, puerum, puero. Pueri, there it is. And then puerorum, pueris, pueros, pueris. So, pueri, the boys, nominative plural masculine. Small, parvus, we want the masculine parvus, and it declines like parvus, parvi, parvo, parvum, parvo. Parvi, there we go. Parvorum, parvis, parvos, parvis. Pueri, parvi. They were afraid. They feared. They are the ones who have the fear towards a thing. So this verb, in Latin, this is timeo, timere, timui, to fear something, and you fear something in the accusative. It looks like, because there's an of, it might take the genitive. It does not. This is a transitive verb in Latin, takes the accusative case. So everything is going to be accusative. The of is part of the verb to be afraid of. That's timeo, timere, timui, no fourth principal part. They were afraid. They feared everything. So third person plural because they, and it's perfect tense. They feared everything. Timu erunt. Timu erunt. Now, if you wanted to say they feared everything and it happened for a long period of time in the past, you could put that in the imperfect and get time and then bond. Time bond. Either way, pueri parvi time bond or pueri parvi timuerunt. And they feared everything. They feared all the things, all things. When you see everything, looks pretty singularly, right? Like it's a singular thing. It's actually plural in Latin because they're fearing all things. When you see everything, go ahead and in your brain translate that to all things. It's omnis omne, the adjective acting as a noun, as a substantive. But it's plural and it's neuter, all things. Things are neuter and they're plural. It's more than one thing, things. And they're not gendered or sexed. They're neuter, neither. So we want the accusative, because it's the direct object of the transitive verb timeo, and plural and neuter, and that's omnia, because remember, all third declension adjectives have I stem endings. So the neuter declension of omnis omne is going to be omne, and then omnis omni omne omni with the letter I in the ablative. Then omnia omnium omnibus omnia omnibus. So omnia. Pueri parvi omnia timuerunt or timebant. To emphasize the everything, they were afraid of everything. You can put the everything first. Omnia pueri parvi timebant or timuerunt. Remember, you can change the word order around to suit the emphasis. You cannot, if you change the endings, you change the meaning. Quinta, sententia quinta. The beautiful songs of the British girls were welcome to the Roman soldiers. So, the verb were, they were. We have a linking verb here. We're saying that something equals something. So we're saying something were welcome. What was welcome? Not the British girls, but the songs. The songs were welcome to the Roman soldiers. So songs equal welcome. That's the basic sentence here. Songs equal welcome. Everything else is just window dressing. So beautiful, that's an adjective. Beautiful. Poker, pokra, pokrum, to agree with songs. Carmen, carmenis, neuter. Because the songs is the subject of the linking verb, and we will not have an accusative direct object anywhere in this sentence because our verb is a linking verb. We want the nominative plural neuter. Carmen, carmenis, third declension, neuter, not an I stem. Carmen, carmenis, carmeni, carmen, carmene. Carmena, there we go. Carmenum, carmenibus, carmena, carmenibus. So carmena. They are beautiful, nominative plural neuter to agree with the nominative plural neuter songs. Carmina pulchra. Carmina pulchra, of the British girls. British girls own the songs. They're the ones singing them or owning them in some way. So of, genitive of possession. British is an adjective agreeing with the noun girls. The girls are the ones who own the songs. They just happen to be British. So British is Britannus an adjective of the first and second declension to agree with girls. Both must be genitive, both must be plural, both must be feminine. Girls is puella feminine. So puellarum Britannarum. We can even put them first. Puellarum Britannarum carmina pulchra. The British girls' beautiful songs. Were, here's our linking verb. Sum esse fui futurus. That's our linking verb. They were welcome. We're going to go ahead and use the imperfect for this. The third person plural imperfect of sum is irregular. Eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erat. The songs, they were welcome. So third person plural erat. So we could say puellarum Britannarum carmina pulchra erant were welcome to the Roman soldiers. Welcome, the adjective gratus grateful, welcome, needs to agree with the songs, because remember the songs are the subject. So nominative, this will be the predicate nominative. This adjective will be a predicate nominative to the subject songs, and then plural, and then neuter. So gratus first and second declension adjective. We want gratum, neuter, and it declines like a second declension neuter. Gratum, grati, grato, gratum, grato, grata. There we go. Gratorum, gratis, grata, gratis. So grata. The carmina erant grata is the skeleton of the sentence. Everything else is just decoration. And they were welcome to, in reference to whom? To the Roman soldiers. This adjective gratus often takes a dative. We call that by the very technical term dative with adjective to complete the meaning of the adjective. Welcome to, it's pleasing to, it's grateful to something or someone in the dative. So the soldiers Roman. So Roman, adjective agreeing with the noun soldiers, Romanosa to agree with miles militis masculine. So we want dative and plural and masculine. Militibus Romanis. Militibus Romanis. We can even move this part up to the front if we wanted. We could say grata militibus Romanis erant Bretanarum puellarum carmina pulchra. That's fine. Or we can keep it simple. Puellarum Bretanarum carmina pulchra erant grata militibus Romanis. Optime, sexta, sententia sexta. The weapons of the bold lieutenant are heavy. Cool, excellent. So we have another linking verb sentence where we have a subject, a linking verb, and a predicate nominative. We will not have an accusative direct object. Nowhere in sight. So, weapons. Here's our subject. It's not the bold lieutenant that's heavy, although he might be, but the weapons of the bold lieutenant are heavy. So, weapons. We're going to use arma, aurum, always neuter, always plural. You could also use tellum in neuter. It's not really specified what kind of weapons these are. Could be a spear, has some heft. Could be a sword, has some girth. Yeah, we'll go ahead and use arma. So arma, nominative, plural, neuter. It's the subject. We need to have a linking verb, and then the predicate nominative needs to be nominative, plural, and neuter. And weapons of the bold lieutenant. Lieutenant is possessing the weapons. So bold, that's going to be the adjective audax audacis. It is a third declension adjective, one termination, in that it has a single nominative form audax for the masculine, the feminine, and the neuter. Doesn't matter the gender. However, when you go ahead and decline the adjective, it will follow a separate track for the neuter, because the neuter third declension has separate forms from the masculine and feminine. The masculine and feminine share a declension. They share a paradigm. They share forms. The neuter has separate forms. Remember, the accusative has to be the same as the nominative. We don't have to worry about that here because lieutenant is masculine. Lieutenant legatus e masculine. That means that bold has to be genitive, singular, and masculine to agree with the genitive, singular, masculine lieutenant of the lieutenant. He is possessing the weapons. So, legati audacis. Legati audacis arma are, they are right now in the present tense, present time, third person plural, present active indicative of sum esse fui futurus. Remember that the present of sum, like the imperfect, is irregular. The present is sum es est, sumus estis sunt. There we are, sunt, third person plural, sunt. Remember the imperfect of sum is eram, eras, erat, eramus, eratis, erat. It's irregular. And so is the future. The arma legati audacis sunt, and they are heavy, gravis grave, a third declension adjective to termination. It must agree with the nominative subject weapons in gender numbering case. It must be nominative because it's the predicate nominative, and it must be plural because weapons are plural, and it must be neuter because weapons are neuter. So when you decline the neuter grave, the neuter form of gravis grave, remember third declension adjectives are I stem, so you're going to end up with a nominative plural gravia, gravia, I stem gravia. Arma legati audacis sunt gravia, gravia sunt arma legati audacis. Legati audacis arma sunt gravia. All of those are fine answers. Septima. Sententia septima. Everyone saw the powerful soldier. Cool. Everyone saw. Be careful with everyone. Like everything, go ahead and have your brain translate everything into all things. So you remember that it's going omnis omne will be plural. Everyone works the same way. When you see everyone, translate it to all persons. Make sure it's persons, not people. All persons, because that'll remind you that it's plural. Everyone is plural. Looks singular. Yeah, everyone looks pretty singular, but this is plural. All persons. All persons saw. That will also affect the verb. The verb will be plural. Thought it was singular. No, it'll be plural because the subject is plural. All persons, third person plural, saw the powerful soldier, which is accusative, singular, masculine, direct object. So we want omnis omne, a third declension adjective, to act like a substantive. Fancy word for a noun. So substantive adjective, omnis omne. We want the nominative plural and masculine. All persons is going to be nominative plural masculine. It has the same form as the feminine. So omnis, omnis, omni, omnem, omni. Remember, all third declension adjectives are I stem. Omnes, there we go. And then omnium, omnibus, omnes, omnibus. So the nominative plural masculine, also the feminine, omnes. All persons, omnes. They saw, video, videre, vidi, visus. They saw is third person plural, perfect active indicative. You get the perfect by going to the third principal part, vidi, chopping off the I, getting vid, and then adding the perfect endings I, ist, it, imus, istus, erunt, viderunt, omnes viderunt. Everyone saw, all persons saw, all persons have seen. Omnes viderunt. They saw the accusative direct object, powerful soldier. Powerful is an adjective modifying the noun soldier. Powerful is potens, potentis. A third declension, one termination adjective. It has one singular form for the nominative, potens. You have to know the genitive, like audacis, in order to get the stem. So the stem of this one, potens, potentis, is potent, like the English word potent, powerful. Needs to agree with soldier in gender numbering case. So accusative, singular, masculine. Miles, militis, masculine. Third declension masculine, that's militem, and then the adjective will be potentem. Omnes, militem potentem viderunt. Viderunt omnes militem potentem. Militem potentem viderunt omnes. All of these are fine answers. Optime, octava, sententia octava. The road from our farmhouse to your city is not short. Oh, is it not? So we have our verb, is. So a linking verb sentence, is. The subject of is not the city, not the farmhouse. The road. The road is not short. It's also a negative. So known. We're going to use the adverb known. So it's not short. Road equals not short. Road does not equal short. So road, subject, nominative of via, I, feminine, first declension feminine. Via. Subject, from our farmhouse. Our is an adjective modifying the noun farmhouse. Farmhouse, villa, feminine. It's going to be ablative because it's separation. We're separating from the road. Ab, preposition, away from. And then noster, nostra, nostrum, modifying villa, feminine. Villa nostra, macrons over the final A in villa and in nostra. Via villa nostra. To your city. We're going towards your city. Motion towards, ad. Plus the accusative, motion towards your city. Seems to be your in the singular. So tuus aum. Could also be wester, westra, westro. City is going to be accusative singular feminine, motion towards. So orbs, orbis, the accusative is orbem, ad orbem, and it's your city. Ad orbem tuam, or ad orbem vestram, if we're talking to more than one your. We can't really tell by the English alone. What's not short? The road. The via non sum ss, sumus estis sunt. We want the third person singular present tense, active indicative, and that's going to be est. Remember, the present of sum is irregular. Sum est, sumus estis sunt. Non est. Via non est. Non est, short. Short is brevis breve. Third declension adjective will have third declension I stem endings. And it must be nominative, because it's predicate nominative. It must also be singular and feminine to agree with the subject road. So short, predicate nominative, singular and feminine. And that's brevis, brevis. Via non est brevis. And everything else is just decoration. The via villa nostra ad orbem tuam non est brevis. Or we could say brevis non est via villa nostra ad orbem tuam. You can flip it around. Nona, sententia nona. Look at the grain in the Roman cap, Lieutenant. Yeah, look at it. All right, so look at. We are ordering this lieutenant to do so. This is going to be an imperative. Look at is going to be imperative mood. Specto, spectare, spectavi, spectatus, to look at. The at is part of the verb. An imperative, form the singular, go to the second principal part, spectare, and chop off the re, and you get specta. If this were plural, if we were talking to more than one lieutenant or more than one person, we'd add the te, spectate. But lieutenant is singular, last time I checked, so specta. The second person singular, present active imperative, specta. Look at the direct object in the accusative. Grain is singular. Frumentum e neuter. Neuter is easy if you need the accusative because the nominative is right there, and the accusative is the same as the nominative. Frumentum. Specta frumentum. Where is it? It's in the Roman camp. In the camp Roman. So Roman, Romanus to agree with the noun casra, orum, always neuter, always plural. In plus the ablative of location. We want ablative, plural, neuter to agree with the ablative, plural, neuter camp. In castris Romanis. Frumentum in castris Romani specta, lieutenant. This is vocative. You can tell by the comma offsetting the vocative. Direct address. Legatus e masculine is lieutenant. The only time the vocative is different from the nominative is when you have a second declension masculine that ends in us, like legatus, indeed, and then that us changes to the letter e. Legatus becomes legate. Amicus becomes amicae. The other instance is when a second declension masculine noun ending in ius, well, that vocative becomes an I. So filius becomes fili. Antonius would become Antoni. So the vocative of legatus is legate. And the vocative is typically put near the front of the sentence, but not the first word. It's usually placed afterwards, so there is no chance that you would confuse it with the nominative. No chance at all. So we could say, specta legate, frumentum in casris Romanis. Please offset legate, the vocative, with commas in your translation. Let's use correct punctuation in English, even though the Romans didn't have punctuation. Decima, sententia decima. The Trojan soldiers fought with heavy swords. Indeed, did they? So, the verb is fought. Who fought? The soldiers, who happen to be Trojan. The adjective Trojan, Trojanos aum, first and second declension adjective to agree with soldiers. The nominative plural masculine for miles milites masculine. So milites, it's a third declension masculine, not I stem. That makes Trojan nominative plural masculine. Milites Trojani, the milites Trojani, they fought. Pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatus, to fight. They fought. We don't say fighted. This is the perfect tense because we don't say fighted, we say fought. Perfect tense, third person plural because they fought. Active indicative, pugno, pugnare, pugnavi, pugnatus. Third principal part, chop off the I to get the perfect stem, pugnab, and then add third person plural perfect endings. I ist it, imus istis, erunt. So the milites Trojani pugnaverunt, they fought with heavy swords. Did they fight in the company of heavy swords? Come on, heavy swords, let us join battle with the enemy. Did they fight in the manner of heavy swords? Look at me, I'm like a heavy sword. Or did they fight by means of heavy swords? By means of heavy swords. They used the heavy swords to fight. By means of. This is an ablative of means. Ablative of means does not use a preposition. It's just a bare noun, no preposition. It can be modified by an adjective like it is here, heavy. So swords, gladius e masculine, we just want that in the ablative. There's no with, there's no preposition. Don't use cum. Just the word in the ablative by itself, being an instrument, being a thing, a non-abstract thing that you can grab, an instrument, an object. That's enough to tell you that this is an ablative of means. So gladiis would be the ablative plural. And then we want heavy to be ablative plural and masculine to agree with the gladius, the swords. So gravis grave is the dictionary entry. And the ablative plural is gravibus, gladiis gravibus. Milites Trojani gladiis gravibus pugnaverunt. Optime, very well done. That concludes exercise D. You are now ready to move on to the Lectio Latina. Valete omnes.